Hello, it's Monday morning, it's just gone 7 o'clock, which means it's time for the Birmingham News Review. I'll be here with you until 8 with a look back at the week just gone and a look forward to what's to come across Birmingham and the West Midlands. We'll kick off with our look back across the week at some of the things which have been making the news across our area. Jason Forrest will be here with another interesting guest in the Milk Bar, and I'll be seeing what's up on the community notice board. Norman Bartlam will tell us what's so special about this month, and we'll be profiling another artist and their work. A little later on, we'll be seeing what's coming up in the forthcoming week with Des and Sasha with a look at what's on, and we'll be taking another look at a very special part of our area, Barbican. It's a busy hour ahead right here on the Birmingham News Review. So then let's see what's been making the news this week. Walsall Manor Hospital have revealed a new £30,000 hub for cancer patients. The state-of-the-art facility has been part-funded by Macmillan Cancer Support and is designed to allow patients to get all the information and advice they need.
The fact that 2.5 million people in the UK are living or affected by cancer would suggest that the battle to defeat it is very much on. And at Walsall Manor Hospital, it's hoped that a new hub will play its part in doing just that.
As you can see, it's newly delivered about a week and a half ago. It's a company that Macmillan used for this kind of design, which is common in lots of other hospitals, and we've been waiting a number of years to get something like this. So this is what we call an information pod. So it provides a environment for patients to drop in where they can actually have access to quality information and be signposted to a whole range of services that they might need, right the way through from diagnosis through treatment, and for patients that have actually completed treatment who might want advice getting back to work, that kind of thing.
As mentioned by Lynn, the £30,000 hub will be a place for cancer patients to seek help and advice during and even after their cancer journey. And the idea is for it to create a comfortable and relaxed environment and allow them to speak to a friendly face like Kashmir.
A lot of patients say that we get too much information. Some patients say they don't get enough information. So this is about maybe sitting together with them and making sure that they're getting the right information at the right time in their cancer journey. Sometimes they might come in for some initial advice or information about a particular cancer. Then down the journey, when they've maybe sick pays run out at work, they might come back again hopefully and find out if there's anything else for them at that stage. So hopefully we're going to help them at different stages throughout their cancer journey.
We know from research and we know from what patients tell us that if they have the access to the right kind of quality information and support, then it really helps them to live with cancer. One of the main benefits is that it's actually here at Manor Hospital. We're trying to get the information through to patients early in their diagnosis as soon as possible.
Cancer can destroy the lives of so many, but at Walsall Manor Hospital, the hope is to make a difficult period as easy as humanly possible. Aaron Wiggins, Birmingham News.
There is a rising demand for engineers in this country, and as part of International Women in Engineering Day, Aston University have been hoping to inspire young women to pursue STEM subjects. The university put on a task for 10 female students, giving them half an hour to build and design something to sit on out of recycled products.
It's really important. At the moment there is a massive shortage of engineers in the UK, and so there are large numbers of jobs available for engineers. We need as many people as possible in doing engineering as we can find. And girls are as good as boys at doing engineering, it's just quite often it's not considered as part of their career choices. So this just opens up their eyes to the different opportunities available. It's a massive industry in terms of the economics of the UK, so it's very important to us. Going forward it's going to be really important because exports are going to be crucial to making sure that we have a strong economy in the UK. But I think it's also important to note that there are many different roles within engineering that people can take up. So it's a lot to do with the perception of their parents, and I think quite often people go into engineering because they know other people who do engineering. So if you don't have engineers in your family, then maybe it's not considered your first choice. And I also think sometimes girls just don't feel confident enough to do it. I think they can be quite perfectionist and like to do things really well, and they get a bit concerned about doing something that's a bit out of their comfort zone.
Now it was back to the Victorian era last Sunday as Hayden Hill Park and Museum in Sandwell held a steampunk event. Now steampunk was a fashion type back in the 19th century, similar to the mods and rockers, and this event rolled the clocks back for families to experience it for themselves. Aaron Wiggins was in the midst of the action.
With the retro wheels and the iconic jazz band, there was a bit of a Victorian feel to Hayden Hill on Sunday. Its park and museum played host to a family day out with a slight twist, a 19th century theme. The setting was that of steampunk, where the Victorian era meets sci-fi.
The reason we started it is because this is a Victorian house and steampunk is sort of very Victorian, Edwardian, but with a sci-fi sort of twist. So imagine if the Victorians had sci-fi. It's what that would look like, basically. And because this is a Victorian house, we thought it would just be a perfect setting. And we've had loads of steampunks come and they've all agreed.
Blacksmithing was one of the most popular jobs, particularly in the Black Country during the Industrial Revolution. It's not as common to see nowadays, but it was on display here, as heavy metal was being turned into goods in a matter of minutes.
Especially in this area, with all of the iron works and in Dudley, the mines, and then all of the stuff going on over in Telford and Bridge North and Iron Bridge, you know. So all this Industrial Revolution stuff going on here, and it was all based on working with iron and metal. Around here, especially in Cradley Heath, it was chain making, nail making as well. There's a lot of history to it here, so it does represent.
A whole host of entertainment was on offer, from music to a bouncy castle, as the event catered for all ages, with an educational element, as the young were given a bit of a history lesson.
Some of the items on the table which you filmed earlier, like shaving, soap dishes, shaving brushes, they don't really understand what they are, so I've had to tell people, you get the dish, you put the soap in, you rub it round, the old fellas would do the... They don't use a razor. Now it's electric, isn't it? Plug electric, right? So it's that sort of thing as well. It's, as you say, it's very educational.
It was certainly something different at Hayden Hill House this weekend, and judging from the number of people, the steampunk was certainly a catch. Aaron Wiggins, Birmingham News.
Former shops and businesses on Bell Street in Wolverhampton are set to be demolished as the council moves forward with their south side development. It all fits into the major redevelopment plans in the city, as Councillor John Reynolds explains.
I think it means Wolverhampton is really on the up. We've seen £35 million development of the Mander Centre, £14 million redevelopment of the Civic Halls, £1 million on the Grand Theatre, £12 million on our I-10 office development, £130 million on the interchange, bringing the metro, the railway station and the bus station all together. It means that Wolverhampton is going to be, and is, a great place to live, to invest, to work and to visit. We've got £3.7 billion worth of investment either online or planned for the future, and that means that Wolverhampton will be a great place to live and work and be educated. The university, plenty of new buildings there. We've just been on a tour of the new Springfield development where the old brewery has been converted into a construction and built environment college, and we know that we need to train a lot of people in the building trades, and those are the sort of people that we're going to have there, the building and construction engineers of the future being educated here. Wolverhampton, like a lot of city centres, suffered in the worldwide crash in 2008. We all want things to speed up in development. We all want things to develop quicker than they are, but I'm confident Wolverhampton at the moment is developing at an appropriate speed, and we obviously look forward to it increasing its development in the future.
Now, pupils in 6 schools in the Ladywood area had their playtime interrupted recently by the unexpected arrival of musical visitors to the playground. Norman Bartlam was there.
It was a typical lunchtime here at this city school, children in the playground perhaps anticipating the sound of a bell to start lessons. But the sound they heard was somewhat different, and it certainly drew the attention of the children.
Boston Brass doing a marching set around Oratory Primary Playground. They're a sort of New Orleans style marching band. They've got a trumpet, a trombone, a baritone saxophone and some drums. And they're doing some processing and generally playing, getting people dancing.
Right, the obvious question is why?
Well, it's fun. We think that music engages children in lots of different ways. Doing it out in a playground environment like this is really nice because they can run around and be as close or as far away as they like. But it also brings lots of children together, and some that might not be as engaged in a classroom will be engaged in an activity like this.
It's good. It's really fun.
Were you surprised?
Yeah. It was good music and there was a great big atmosphere.
Have you all enjoyed it?
So it's time for a short break now, but stay with us as there's more from the Birmingham News Review coming up. Plus we'll be looking at the community notice board too. We'll see you shortly. Welcome back to the Birmingham News Review. Now we're into July, and this month 6-year-old Emma Cadwallader from Stourbridge will be climbing a 2,930-foot mountain in Wales as a tribute to her grandma Brenda. Emma will be climbing the mountain with her parents and her dog Molly, raising money for Mary Stevens Hospice. Olivia Marks has been speaking to her as she prepares for her big climb.
Training's underway for 6-year-old Emma Cadwallader ahead of her hiking challenge up Mount Cadair Idris in memory of her grandma Brenda. It may be 945 times the size of her, but nothing's stopping Emma.
Well done, Emma, and she will be very pleased with me. And I'll just keep walking and walking.
And by doing so, she's keeping the family tradition alive, going back to the very spot her nanny used to visit.
My mum had red hair, refused to go abroad because she didn't want to get burnt, so we spent most of our holidays in Wales climbing and enjoying being outdoors. And it's something that we've passed on now to Emma, and Emma wanted to climb a mountain when she was 3, but we said she was a little bit young, so we've made her wait a little bit, made her wait for another few years. So yes, she would be very proud of what Emma's doing. Emma was very much the apple of her eye.
Emma's grandma volunteered at Mary Stevens Hospice for over 15 years, but 2 years ago she lost her battle with pancreatic cancer. Now the family are raising money for the hospice Nana Brenda loved.
Spent her happiest times there, she made a lot of friends there. She was passionate about the charity and everything that the charity did. So for her to go there for her last few days was one of her wishes. She had a fantastic party on the 2 days before she died, the second day that she was in the hospice. This is a little way that we can give something back to them to say thank you.
Eva has raised money for me, Poppy has, and Liliana. 100 million pounds.
They may have not raised quite that amount of money, but they've so far raised £927, beating their target of 500. And with just a few weeks to go, Emma's hoping Nana Brenda will look down, beaming and proud.
We'll try and spot the cloud what Nana is on.
Olivia Marks.
Now, last weekend saw the annual Armed Forces Day, during which members of the public had the opportunity to thank the Forces personnel for the work they do and to remember those lost in conflicts around the world. Norman Bartlam has a roundup of some of the events from across our region, beginning at RAF Cosford Museum, where the Glebe Orchestra entertained veterans.
The Globe Symphonic Winds is said to be one of the country's leading wind orchestras, and their performance at RAF Cosford Museum was one of the highlights of the day for the public and the veterans, many of whom were entertained to lunch and ably looked after by enthusiastic members of the Air Training Corps. Even younger people had the chance to colour patriotic flags and visit the exhibits at the museum. Meanwhile, in Birmingham, there was an event in Victoria Square during which members of the public met armed forces personnel and civic leaders. A similar event was held at Himley Hall near Dudley, and all across the Black Country, veterans were thanked by local people. A well-attended military parade and a fun day was held at Dartmouth Park in West Bromwich. These events helped to increase public knowledge of the real work that's undertaken by the armed forces and encourage the younger generation to integrate and understand the role of our armed forces. And back at Cosford, the Glebes Magnificent concert ended in time for people to get a vantage point to view the Spitfire fly past. This magnificent aircraft is one of only 30 which are still airworthy and is based at RAF Coningsby in Lincolnshire. It was built in Birmingham at Castle Bromwich and handed to the Air Ministry in June 1945, a month after the war ended. It was used during filming of ground sequences for the famous film Battle of Britain, and since being restored in 2012 has been part of the Battle of Britain memorial flight. This is one of around 12,000 Spitfires that were built at Castle Bromwich on a site now occupied by the Jaguar factory, and the nearby Spitfire sculpture draws attention to the site's illustrious history. Back at Cosford, and this iconic sound could be heard, leaving no one in doubt that a Spitfire was approaching. Norman Bartlam, Birmingham News.
Birmingham's bid to host the 2022 Commonwealth Games has taken a step forward with the announcement of 4 indoor arenas across Birmingham and Solihull. With time at a premium following the City of Durban's withdrawal, organisers for the Birmingham bid are confident that we already have enough world-class facilities to host the Games. We spoke to Phil Mead, who sits on the organising committee for the bid.
Firstly, in Birmingham city centre, a cluster of venues around the Barclaycard Arena. The Barclaycard Arena itself will be used for gymnastics, both artistic and rhythmic gymnastics. And then just adjacent to the Barclaycard Arena, there's Symphony Hall. What an iconic venue that is, and it's going to be used for weightlifting and for powerlifting as well. Out here at the NEC, we've got the Genting Arena. That will be used for badminton. And Birmingham has got a fantastic tradition of hosting international badminton, every year hosting the Yonex All England Championships. 3 of the exhibition halls will be converted into temporary arenas, one used for the boxing, the second one used for wrestling and judo, and the third for table tennis, combined with para-table tennis as well. 95% of the venues for the entire Games are already in place, so that makes our bid affordable for starters and sustainable. Last week we announced that Alexander Stadium will be the main venue for athletics, and that will be increased up to around 45,000, and the detail on those plans will be revealed when they do the British qualifying championships for the World Championships this weekend, so people will see a sort of spectacular change to that stadium.
Right, let's make our regular call now to the Milk Bar with Jason Forrest. And the recent Royal Three Counties show in Malvern saw visitors from across our region celebrating British farming. The ambassador of the show, Adam Henson, spoke to Jason about how important it is for us to understand the work involved in getting our food to the table.
Probably Britain's favourite farmer is the ambassador for the Three Counties show for 2017, Adam Henson. Hello.
Hello.
So, you've had a great time at the show. It's been some brilliant livestock on display, and obviously you're quite at home with all this, aren't you?
I am really. I've been coming to the Three Counties show ever since I was a little boy, now the Royal Three Counties. My dad used to come here. We came as a family showing livestock, and then he was president of the show for a number of years, and then got the Rare Breeds Day going on the Sunday. And here we are. This is the Saturday, day 2 of a 3-day show. It's one of my favourites in the country, so I was very honoured to be asked to be their ambassador for this year.
And of course you've been judging as well. You've been in the main arena, taking a look at some of the animals, and obviously very much looking forward to Rare Breeds Day. But it must be interesting seeing the best of the best, but considering most of the people here are only used to seeing these animals pre-packaged in a supermarket.
Well, that's right. There's lots of livestock here. We've got 5,000 animals of various different species: sheep, cows, pigs, goats, you name it. And for me to be asked with Ken Nottage, who's the chief executive here, to judge the best of the best was a real treat. So we had the best pig of all pigs here, the best beef animal, the best dairy animal, a dual purpose animal, and then the best beef bull. And we chose the Limousin bull and the black pig, the large black pig, which was great and lovely for the crowds to see all these animals up close.
And literally very close. I mean, they can come around and inspect the animals and meet them in their enclosures here. But I mean, even something like where the chickens are on display. Obviously you can't quite parade those, but again, it is a great viewing spectacle for people to see where their food comes from, and it's important people understand that, isn't it?
I think it is. I mean, I think you get people of all ages learning a lot coming to a show like this. They can talk to the farmers with their livestock, they can go and talk to bees and honey, they can go into the poultry tent and talk about chickens. The Rare Breed Survival Trust are here talking about all of their work. There's conservation, there's machinery, there's the Grand Parade, there's lots of shopping and fun and food, and so I think it's a great atmosphere. And if you walk around the show, you see lots of people having a great time, smiling, lots of schools as well, which is wonderful if you're trying to aim at that educational angle too.
Absolutely, get the whole family involved and get them to understand what's really going on. And obviously you've got your book which is out at the moment, which you've been signing copies for people, and again, that looking back at your father, as you've mentioned already, but really, I mean, he started out and did a load of media stuff in his time, didn't he? So you sort of carry on the family tradition with all of this.
He did, yeah. He was an actor's son, so I suppose the media was in his bones, I suppose, to perform. And but with his rare breeds work and being an early pioneer in conserving rare breeds, he attracted the media attention. So he worked with Johnny Morris on Animal Magic and worked with Phil Drabble and Angela Rippon on a programme called In the Country. And I'm very fortunate to be following in his footsteps. My little feet hardly fill his great big ones. He did amazing work in agriculture and got recognised by the Queen, got an MBE for his work. Yeah, so my book, Like Farmer Like Son, is really a memoir of how mine and his lives have been very entwined, and some television stories as well.
Well, obviously available online. Have you actually got a website as well? Are you a wet farmer with a website too?
Well, we've got a place that's open to the public, so after we finish here, I'll go back to the Cotswold Farm Park, a tourist enterprise that my dad started in 1971. So we have a website at cotswoldfarmpark.co.uk, and we get 145,000 visitors come to the farm park to celebrate rare breeds conservation and get up close to animals.
Well, you keep up the good work. We'll keep watching you on TV, and thanks again for having a chat.
Thank you very much.
And thanks very much to Jason and to Adam. And we'll have more from the Milk Bar at the same time next week. But if that's not enough for you, then the Milk Bar is also on the radio and it's a podcast too. So just order up themilkbarpodcast.com to find out more. Still to come then, we'll be seeing what's up on this week's community notice board, and Norman Bartlam will take a look back in time at what's so special about this week. Plus we'll be profiling another artist and their work. Stay with us. Welcome back to the show. Still to come later in the show, we'll be seeing what's on in the West Midlands, plus we'll be taking a look at a very special part of our area. So then it's time for the community notice board, and this, as ever, is the news that you send to us. Remember, if there's something that we could mention, then please do get in touch, but give us plenty of notice. We'll give you those all important contact details in a few minutes' time. And we start off with some travel news. Takes me back to my old days in radio. Pinfold Street in Wensfield is going to reopen to traffic and pedestrians on Friday, July the 7th. Now it follows the completion of essential repair works by the City of Wolverhampton Council. This bridge is an important link in the local road network, carrying the Lichfield Road over the Worley and Essington Canal. The condition of the bridge had deteriorated and needed reconstruction to avoid having to impose further weight restrictions on it. Now this would have had a detrimental impact on traffic in and out of Wensfield town centre, in particular on public transport and service vehicles. The work carried out over the last 6 months will extend the life of the bridge for at least another 120 years, maintaining access to the town centre for future generations. Now further work on the bridge will continue after July the 7th, but they reckon that this will have minimal impact on traffic and pedestrian movements. Now a local postman will cycle more than 500 miles to raise money for the Stourbridge charity, which looked after his friend in his final days. Steve Gould, aka Steve the Postman, will set off on a 5-day challenge in northern Scotland, riding more than 100 miles a day to raise money for the Mary Stevens Hospice. Now he's going to set off on July the 3rd and ride until July the 7th, and he'll travel roughly 520 miles in just 5 days. I wish I was as fit as that. So to support Steve's challenge, you can donate to his Just Giving page, and there it is on the screen. Or if you want to find out more about the work of the Mary Stevens Hospice, then you can visit www.marystevenshospice.co.uk. Now Smethwick Library is seeing in the start of this year's Black Country Festival in style with a special football related event on Thursday the 6th of July. Now after the success of last year's evening with Cyril Regis and Brendan Batson, this time the spotlight falls on the Albion great Tony Bomber Brown. Now, he was at the Baggies from 1961. He was part of an Albion team that won the 66 League Cup and the 68 FA Cup final. He was the top scorer in Division 1 in 1970-71 and received his England cap at the end of that season. He scored 279 goals in 720 competitive games for Albion, both club records, and he later moved to the New England T-Men, Torquay United and Stafford Rangers. Now, since retiring from playing, he's worked as a coach and a commentator. So this event will be hosted by Alan Cleverly and features classic match clips and, of course, the chance to listen to a Baggies legend. The second half of the event will be an audience Q&A session. So if you'd like to go along on July the 7th, tickets are available from Smethwick Library, or you can call 0121 558 0497. Now, staff and volunteers at Galton Valley Pumping Station in Smethwick are going to be celebrating the building's 125th anniversary with a free family and community fun day. The wildlife themed event is on Saturday the 8th of July and it'll be at the station itself and also further down the canal. Staff from Dudley Zoo will be at the event with some of their smallest animals, as well as representatives of the RSPB and Birmingham and Black Country Wildlife Trust with information and activities to get involved with. There'll be a heritage boat and an arty and crafty boat with loads to have a go at. Visitors can enjoy live music, craft activities and trails along the canal. Now, the Galton Valley Pumping Station was built to regulate water levels between the old and new mainline canals, and now after 125 years visitors can learn about life on the canals, how they were built and how they played such a big part in the industrial development of the area. Now, I've been on the canal trip myself along that stretch and it's absolutely fascinating. So this one is all taking place at the Galton Valley Pumping Station off Brasshouse Lane in Smethwick on Saturday the 8th of July, and as I said, the event is free. So to find out more you can call 0121 556 0683 or have a look at the website www.sandwell.gov.uk/joininmuseums. Now, anyone interested in an apprenticeship with Sandwell Council is invited to find out more at an event next week. The council will be taking on hundreds more apprenticeships over the coming years, and anyone interested in starting their career with the council is urged to pop along to the council house in Albury on Thursday the 6th of July. Now, the event is in the council chambers and it's open to people of any age. Council apprentices who are already working for the council, as well as the council's employment team, will be on hand to give advice, chat about vacancies and how to apply. Now, apprenticeships are a way to earn while you learn. You can get work experience and put some money in your pocket without leaving you with debt. That's what they say. So for more information or to see current vacancies, you can have a look at www.sandwell.gov.uk/apprenticeship vacancies, all one word. Or you can call 0121 569 2099. So there you go, that's what we found pinned to this week's community notice board. If you know of something that we could be telling people about, why don't you get in touch? But please do, as always, give us at least a week's notice. You can email news@madeinbirmingham.tv. On social media, look us up at Made in Birmingham TV, or you can use the hashtag Birmingham News, we'll find you. And of course, we'll have more for you at the same time next week. Now then, let's take a quirky and interesting trip back in time with everyone's favourite historian. It's our very own Norman Bartlam.
In July 1906, the Lord Mayor of Birmingham, Joseph Chamberlain, embarked on a tour of the city to mark his 70th birthday. Over 12,000 people assembled in Birmingham's Summerfield Park to honour Old Joe, as he was affectionately called. The local press noted that never in its history has the park beheld a more brilliant spectacle or a greater display of enthusiasm. The vast crowds which poured in through the wide gates were inspired by one sentiment only, that of Joseph Chamberlain. The Chamberlain atmosphere pervaded everything in what was described as a motley, merry but picturesque crowd, and there was music supplied from the bandstand by the Cradley Heath Prize Band. There were choruses of "Good Old Joe" and "Happy Birthday" wishes came from all corners. The papers added that nothing occurred to mar the unallied pleasures of a delightful little function. Sadly, however, shortly after the end of these celebrations, he was disabled by a stroke, ending his public career.
Right then, do you have an artistic nature? Would you like to come on the telly and show people what you can do? Well, this is the sort of thing that we mean.
My father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's when he was 50, and my mother didn't tell me about it until he passed away. Me not knowing kind of encouraged me to want to explore more about Alzheimer's in my final year. There's so much designers and artists have done a lot of excellent job on raising awareness and creating art that is friendly for dementia patients. I thought, what can I do more as an illustrator? So I get in contact with Alzheimer's Society Cardiff and the SERBS member. It kind of gave me insight of how they want to be treated when they've been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. As an illustrator, I found out that my 2D drawing and paintings doesn't speak as much as I want to speak. It doesn't communicate what I meant, and I found material like thread. With this one, I use soluble fabric, which is disappear when you put it in a warm water. The way you do it is you sew your design with the freehand sewing machine, and then once your design is done, you dip it in the water, and what's left is the design, and that kind of represents the losing of memory, but also what's left is kind of also tells about the holding of memory. You're trying to hold on to the person of you used to be. I like it when they touch and makes them feel something. It is more kind of the connection that I'm looking for when they can enjoy the artwork, but also ask about what it is without being afraid of touching it. And it kind of builds a connection between me and the other person. If it can be useful for them, that is the point for me. And as an illustrator, we can do that. It's not just drawing and painting. Through creating empathy, you can create connection with other people and hopefully give them more perspective, or more, I don't want to say knowledge, because it's kind of like I'm teaching them something, because I'm not teaching them something. I just want to represent them in a more dignified way.
And we'll be profiling another artist around the same time next week. Now, maybe you're an artist with a passion for the subjects you portray. Why don't you get in touch? You never know, we might be able to feature you or your work on the show. Or perhaps you know of an artist that we could cover. Either way, we'd love to take a look at your work, so why don't you get in touch? You can email news@madeinbirmingham.tv. Still to come after the break, we'll be looking ahead to see what's on during the coming week with Des and Sasha. Plus, we'll be taking a look at a very special part of our area. It's Barbican. All that plus a look at the weather too when we come back. Welcome back to the Birmingham News Review. And now for a look ahead to the coming week. This time it's What's On with Des and Sasha.
Welcome to What's On. Des, where are we today?
We are at the Crescent Theatre on Sheepcote Street in the town. One of the oldest, if not the oldest, amateur theatre company in the Midlands. Go on then, you first.
Right, well, at the Rep between July the 4th and the 8th, Bee Festival is a boundary-smashing explosion of more than 20 shows composed of theatre, dance, circus, comedy, music, visual and performing arts, and a special feature is audiences being given the opportunity to explore and enjoy the backstage areas where the construction workshop acts as a hub to the festival. That is so cool, I really like that.
Yeah, and they do a special night where you can all have dinner.
Oh wow!
On the stage with the acts as well.
That's incredible.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea. Now, lots of foodie news. A new vegan fast food style cafe is set to open in August called Fresh with 2 S's. It's going to be in the City Arcade, which is across the road from Rackham's, and will specialise in 100% plant-based breakfast and lunch options. Plant-based. They say the aim is to promote a healthier, more sustainable and ethical choice, providing tasty food that's a good and quick choice, not just for vegans and vegetarians.
Nice.
Yeah.
Alternative, some worth it. It's a fresh idea, I might say.
Yeah, fresh. Like it.
Okay. Over at the NEC, the new multi-million-pound Dinosaurs in the Wild is a mix of theatre, theme park and scientific research. It's set in a research station time base, and guests will get a safety briefing from their guides, travel through the herds of dangerous dinosaurs, watch a dinosaur autopsy, witness hatchlings emerging from eggs, and come eye to eye with a very angry Tyrannosaurus Rex. I have a joke.
Go on.
How do you ask a Tyrannosaurus out to lunch?
I don't know.
T-Rex. Another bad one.
Yeah. Created by award-winning producers behind the BBC series and spin-off arena show Walking with Dinosaurs. It's one of the biggest shows ever staged at the NEC, runs until the 24th of August, and judging by the enthusiastic review given by one of our colleagues who went last week, it's definitely one not to be missed. Okay. Now then, gig of the week. Don't forget, you've got the Mostly Jazz, Funk and Soul Festival at Moseley Park with Chaka Khan. Over at the Hare and Hounds, Joyce Sims, she's on Thursday, and also Odyssey, native New Yorker, they're on at the Jam House on Thursday. So it was a really difficult decision to make up my mind. Plus I forgot my bell.
What sentence you hear every day?
I'm not going to go for one, I'm going to go for three. I'm going to go for Joyce Sims, Odyssey and Chaka Khan. So there you go. Ding. Back to you.
Time now for the next in our mini-series of films from Barbican in Walsall, which has recently seen the completion of the Raising the Bar project. A Heritage Lottery Fund grant helped to restore the landmark war memorial and other heritage features. It also funded a programme of community involvement with activities ranging from walks and talks to archaeological digs and music festivals. So let's see what's happening this week in part 4 of Raising the Bar.
We know that Barbican was used by Stone Age man because a Neolithic mace head has been found by archaeologists, and Roman coins have been discovered here too. Our recent archaeological excavation involved local school children and volunteers from the community. We found evidence of 12th century ridge and furrow farming, and it was a unique opportunity for people to take part in an actual dig.
We've been invited by Walsall Council to come and undertake some excavations for them. There's been a programme of archaeological work done over a good few years now. So there was a desk-based assessment done where they collected all the map evidence and the cartographic evidence, and then that was followed up by geophysical survey, and then there was some test pitting, so just metre squares. And we've had the opportunity now, thanks to the Heritage Lottery funding, to come back and open up some bigger areas and see what we can find.
It's one of the highest points in the West Midlands, and wherever you get a high point you tend to get human activity. Even if it's just farming or agricultural, at least it's sort of built up a bit of a picture of the site and what's gone on in the past.
Well, this is a piece of clay pipe that you've just found here. Nice bit of stem from the clay pipe. Good, that's excellent, isn't it? That's another nice piece of Victorian pottery.
Victorian
really good.
pottery?
Yes, yeah, very good.
We have walked very far to get to here so we can do the archaeological dig, and we're going to find as much stuff as we possibly can.
Our school, Blackwood School, has been involved in the Raising the Bar project in association with the council, and when we heard about the dig, the whole school was absolutely delighted to be invited.
It's really cool doing an archaeological dig. Just digging through, I was about to put in the bin where I noticed that I about a piece of pottery?
They're mostly finding finds which would probably date back over the last sort of 100 years or so. Little bits of brick and tile, pottery, glass, and one of the little boys did find a coin, which is very unusual, a coin from the probably late Second World War coin, 3p piece, which certainly surprised everybody because they weren't expecting that at all.
This is sort of 18th, 19th century, a storage jar. So it's glazed internally, it's designed to hold a liquid. They haven't bothered glazing it on the outside, glaze is expensive. So we think that this is probably made up ground associated with the landscaping, potentially to do with the war memorial itself. So that's actually really quite nice in that we've got some nice dating material. And to go with it, we have a bit of engineering brick, a much smaller fragment. So really this is essentially black country industry, which is really rather nice given where we are.
These days, however, Barbeacon is more space age than Stone Age, as it's a popular spot for stargazing. Used regularly by the Warsaw Astronomical Society, it's been designated a dark sky discovery site, which means that it's one of the best places in the region to observe the night sky due to reduced light pollution. Other activities on Barbeacon include regular health walks, organised by Warsaw Council's Walk On programme. Each week, trained volunteers lead groups of people around parks and countryside sites across the borough.
Walking is great, it's free, it's open all the time. Barbeacon's a beautiful park. You can walk in a group or on your own, and it's accessible all times. It's a great place to walk. There's lots of benefits to walking. It's good health-wise, so it reduces your risk of diabetes, it gives you a healthy heart, it also helps with anxiety and depression, and also you can lose weight, it makes you stronger, it helps with balance for when you get older, so there's lots and lots of benefits to walking.
I think Barbeacon itself, it's so open, very cold in the winter, but wrap up and you don't notice it. In the summer you see the changes, it's lovely, we love it, yes.
I decided, I wanted the healthier lifestyle, so I decided to eat healthy and incorporate exercise, which is walking, and it's done me the power of good. It's, fantastic, I feel fantastic.
And Marverine will be back with the final episode of Raising the Bar at the same time next week. So then that's all we've got time for on today's Birmingham News Review. I'll be back with you on Saturday and Sunday nights at 6 for the Weekend Magazine, and of course for another Birmingham News Review next Monday morning at 7. Now remember, you can always keep up to date with more news for Birmingham and the West Midlands every weekday at 6 and 8 in the evening. So that's it for now. Stay tuned because the weather is coming up next, and then after the break, as promised, Carl Jones is back with another big engine debate. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye bye for now.